Hi, peoples! I apologize for there being so much time between my last video and this video, but I've been caught up with so many things, namely personal life stuff, work-related stuff. I actually have a job interview next week, and if I get the job, and it's a long shot, and nothing's set in stone yet, but if I get the job, I'm actually going to be moving to Japan in a few months. So, we'll see how that goes. That'll be an interesting change of pace. So there's that. I've had some technical difficulties, namely internet problems, and I also have to be honest, I haven't had any interesting topics to talk about wrestling related outside of just reviewing shows. I did see Elimination Chamber. I thought the show was good overall. I thought the strength of the chamber matches made the show worth it. I thought Raw this week felt like a go-home show, mainly because of the last segment. Which, I don't know, is Rock coming back before Mania? Because it really, I guess if he's not coming back until Mania, that was a pretty awesome segment to close with, I guess. That was, that really did feel like a go-home show. And, I can't believe there's another month until Mania. But we'll see how that all plays out. I think Mania is shaping up, at least with the big matches, is shaping up pretty well. But I'll talk about that when I do my WrestleMania preview video in a couple weeks. But yeah, I really haven't had too many interesting topics. And my last few videos felt like I was just reviewing shows. And, that works for some people, but I don't like to be do nothing but review shows kind of guy. I like to be more topical. Because I think when I just get stuck in a rut of just reviewing and previewing shows, I get kind of boring. That works for some people, doesn't work for me. Maybe some people, there are people out there that just think I'm boring in general, but I do like to spark discussions with more topical, more of a topical approach to my videos. And I really couldn't think of anything to do in this build-up to WrestleMania season. The only thing I could come up with, and it's something that's been kind of on my mind lately, and that's all the injuries that have been going on in wrestling lately. I mean, have you noticed? R-Truth had that bad fall a couple weeks ago. I mean, it wasn't super serious, but Miz didn't catch him right, and he had that bad fall. That was a few weeks ago. You had the Sorensen injury at the TNA pay-per-view, which left him paralyzed, or could have left him permanently paralyzed. By all accounts, it sounds like he's going to be okay, but we'll see how Jesse turns out from here. Wade Barrett broke his arm in that Battle Royal where apparently Dolph Ziggler also got knocked out, and I think I heard Kofi and Truth had some bad falls in there too. Then you got Del Rio and Christian and Mark Henry and Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara got hurt at Survivor Series. So many guys, and it feels like they're dropping like flies. And I don't know what's causing it. And in WWE's case, maybe you have to take into account that they do work a more extreme style, at least more extreme than what I watched when I first started watching wrestling in the late 80s. I mean, you look at what they were doing in the late 80s and you look at what they're doing now. I mean, it's nowhere near as intense. Unfortunately, it's for about half the crowd reaction. I mean, these guys today are practically killing themselves for, not even a fraction of what the guys in the 80s got, or even in the Attitude Era. But, again, them's the breaks. So you got to take that into account, and you got to take into account their road schedule, which, they just don't get any time off. And, there's a lot of wear and tear that goes into there, too. But I have to wonder if some of it also doesn't come from a lot of these guys not being able to protect their opponents well. And that's an underrated aspect of being a good worker. I've heard Bret Hart say that he considers himself to be one of the best because in his entire career he never hurt anybody. I heard Lance Storm say in an interview that he would take 100 straight pile drivers from Finlay in a row because he trusts Finlay. And again, going back to Lance Storm, I remember hearing Jerry Lynn say in an interview that Lance Storm's super kick looks deadly, but in reality, he couldn't crack an egg with it. And that's an underrated aspect of wrestling, and that's really part of the art form. To make it look like you're having a real fight, and like you're really hurting somebody, but in reality, you're protecting the guy. And you're not hurting him. And that's kind of the the performance art aspect of it, and that's like the real the mastery of the craft comes in. And a lot of guys, I don't know, and it'd be fascinating to go back and watch a lot of the footage of all these injuries and see, okay, is it this guy's fault, or is it just an accident, or this, that, or the other? Like, I haven't rewatched the Battle Royal, so I don't know whose fault Wade Barrett's situation was, or Dolph Ziggler's being knocked out was, but it is kind of scary to me that so many of these guys are getting hurt, and hurt pretty badly. Like, again, going back to the Sorensen thing, Zema Ion and Sorensen, did they have a miscommunication there? Or was that just, two green young guys not being in the right place, and the miscommunication led to a serious injury? I don't know. Miz, who's never really been touted as a great worker, some people love his character, but I've never heard too many people, praise him as being a great worker. But I mean, that fall that R-Truth took, that was his fault. He wasn't in position to catch him. Or maybe R-Truth jumped the gun and did it too early, and that's why Miz wasn't in position. I don't know. Again, that's something that maybe somebody like me can't answer, because I'm not a trained wrestler. I'm not there. So and I take that into account. There are things going on inside that ring that I'm not even aware of because I'm not trained. And I have no idea what that's like. And I have no desire to put my body through that, and I have a lot of respect for anybody that is willing to do that. But it is interesting to think about, because, these injuries are getting kind of scary, some of them. And there's so many. It's to the point where it's like, wow. And, Randy Orton got a concussion, although it was suggested to me that... and again, there's been no official word on this, but somebody told me, isn't it interesting that Randy Orton got hurt? We didn't really hear too many specifics about the injury, other than that all we heard was that it was a concussion. And then 30 days later, he's back. 30 days. Makes you wonder, did Orton get another another suspension? And they just don't want to leak it? It makes you wonder. I don't know. But the whole injury thing, that is an important aspect of being a worker in professional wrestling, is that you have to protect your opponent, and you have to be able to work safely. Professional wrestling is one of the most dangerous professions in the world, because you're basically putting your life in the hands of another guy. That's why when Sting, I believe, called the finish right there on Jeff Hardy, when Jeff Hardy was fucked up, and you got that 90-second main event, when Sting did that, because it looked to me like he just called the finish right there. But when Sting did that, I didn't blame him, because it's like, look, I wouldn't take a suplex from him, or somebody in that state, or anything like that. So, yeah, maybe that's something in FCW that's not being taught as well. Again, I don't know. I'm not there in the training system. I don't know. or maybe it's just an unfortunate series of accidents, and maybe it's just wear and tear. Who knows? Maybe I'm just grabbing at straws. But, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video for the week. Again, I didn't have too many interesting topics to talk about, except for WrestleMania, which I'll get into later. But I do want to bring back question and answers, which I haven't done those in a long time. I think the last one I did was right after WrestleMania last year. So I'm going to be doing question and answers again. If you want to send me questions, you can private message me on my YouTube account. Label the topic or the subject of the message should be Q&A or question and answers, just so I know what it pertains to, so I can organize them better. And the catch of this Q&A is that all the questions must be WrestleMania related. So ask me anything you want regarding WrestleMania, my favorite matches, my favorite moments, or any interesting WrestleMania topics, like do I think the streak should end, or who could be a WrestleMania main eventer in the future, yada, 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 things like that. I don't know. Whatever you can come up with. And I look forward to hearing your questions, but that's all I got this week, and I apologize. I'm not offering too much here. This is probably the worst thing I've ever shot. But, Yeah, send me your questions, and I'll get to that one. That'll probably be next week's video, because Lord knows I'm running out of ideas here. But I'll see y'all later, and hope you all have a good week.